Hey guys, it's Molly from Cascade Telemark here, bringing you week 7 and 8 of our preseason Telemark specific training course. I really hope if you guys have been enjoying it. Brian and I have had our first day of the season, and I can truly say I am so much stronger than I was last season, so hopefully you guys are feeling the effects of that as well. Let's get into those exercises, and remember to like and save this video so that you can come back those timestamps for each day. We'll get started. For our first exercise today, we are going to do a jumping lunge with an emphasized at least 2-second hold. I want 3 sets of 8 per side. So what's that going to look like? We're setting up to our side here, starting in a lunging position. And we're going to jump up, hold, up, hold for a 2-second. What this exercise is going to help with is building that power in between those turns, and to also build stability when we're doing a dynamic quick movement where we can hold that telemark stance in between. If we need to add a little bit of resistance to this, you can hold some light dumbbells or increase the reps or sets. For our second exercise, we're going to be doing single leg lateral hops. I want to do 3 sets of 15 for each leg. This is really going to help build that power in the lateral plane of motion when we're moving side to side, jumping from turn to turn. So that's what this is going to look like here. I want you to focus on finding stability when we're jumping to the side, whether that's holding for a quick second and not making rapid jumps back and forth. That's going to build those stabilization muscles all the way from down your ankle into your knee, up your hip. That whole chain is going to get stronger the more we can control that motion from side to side as we're having to stop the power and stabilize, just like we would be doing on the hill when we're doing a quick translational movement. So again, 3 sets of 15 on each side. Make sure you switch legs. We're off to exercise 3. For exercise 3, we are doing weighted step through lunges. With this, we're going to be working through the lunge from a reverse lunge to a forward lunge. So we're working through that transition of that telemark turn. We're doing 3 sets of 10 per leg. We're going to start with one leg not moving, and I'll show you how that looks in the demo. I'm going to start with my left leg, so that leg is not going to be moving this entire exercise. It's going to be planted in the middle, weights down by our side, step back into a reverse lunge, and then without stopping that motion, going into that forward lunge. So back and forward is 1. And you'll notice through this motion, you'll find different points of pushing off. When we're back here in our reverse lunge, really drive through that front heel. And when we're coming into our front lunge, you have to push through the front heel of your forward foot. So you'll see that the strength comes from different places. If weights are feeling a little bit too much, drop them. We can do this body weight or add weight to make this a little bit more challenging. For our 4th exercise of the day, we are doing half kneeling dumbbell rotational press. We're going to be doing 3 sets of 10 on each leg. So we'll switch which leg is on front and which way we're rotating each set. Set this one up. I want you to start in a half kneeling position. I've grabbed a light dumbbell. Figure out what weight feels right for you and how you want to hold it. You can hold it with both hands or do the opposite hand as the opposite knee that's up. That's how I'm going to start. 1 rep is going to look like this. I'm going to be punching overhead, but also laterally out in front of my body, almost if I'm getting ready for that turn. My hand's out here, and I'm bringing it back. If this doesn't feel like enough of a challenge, increase that weight, or see if a double hand position feels a little bit better, or we're still going to be punching up and out. You should feel this exercise engaging your cores and working it through rotation. If the weight feels a little bit too much, just use your body weight. Our first exercise today, we are doing weighted wall sets with a rotation. We've done wall sets before, now we're adding that mandatory rotation. So grab a weight that you can do this for 3 sets of 30 seconds to a minute. We're getting down against the wall where I have a 90-degree bend in my legs. We're holding that core steady. We're starting that timer, and we're rotating with that weight from side to side. You'll notice very quickly that those legs will start to burn. We're working on that endurance aspect, being able to last throughout that ski day, continue going down the hill with as little breaks as possible, while still respecting your body, of course. And that rotational aspect is really going to engage that core, keep it strong, keep it functional while we're moving and grooving down the hill. For our second exercise today, we're doing an RDL with a upright row. With this one, we're doing 3 sets of 12. If we need to drop the row and we only want to do the RDLs, that's a great way to modify this, or increase the weight, depending on what your shoulders can take. So with this, I really want to focus on that eccentric going down. That's going to build the most strength in our glutes and hamstrings when we're initiating that RDL movement. So what this one is going to look like, just a quick reminder, make sure our pelvis is tucked, our spine is nice and straight, and when we're bent down, we're hinging at the hips, and my whole spine is neutral, almost like I'm pushing that drawer closed with my butt, and I'm coming upright and bringing my row up. When I'm doing a row here, I'm leading with my elbows and my arms are coming up just to about my clavicle up here. You're going to kind of feel it in your shoulders if they start to round forward. I want you to think about keeping those shoulder blades down and back up here. So a full rep will look like this. We'll go slow on the way down, at least to a count of 6 to 8. Squeeze with the glutes, upright row. This is one of those compound movements that's going to be really good for your whole body. We're getting the glutes and hams with that RDL, keeping the core tight, along with engaging our lats, trying to control that weight on the way down, even getting our shoulders involved a little bit when we're doing that upright row. Again, 3 sets of 12, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. For our third exercise today, we are doing a double leg glute bridge with a march. This is really going to help with that core stability when we're moving around, as well as those glute and hamstrings that are so important for pushing through those turns. We'll do 3 sets of 12 each side. Starting on the mat. See that space between my back? Don't want that. I want my pelvis rolled forward. That low back is pressed against the ground to start. So that means I'm engaging my core. I'm going to push up from there, keeping that tilt, and I'm going to raise one knee into a march and the other. Trying not to move and shift from side to side as much as I can. If we need to modify this to make this a little bit easier, remove the march, just do a glute bridge if you want the strengthening, or keep your hips on the ground, that pelvic tilt like I showed you, and just do some marches. That will also help with that core strength. I'll show you an example of that now. It's also an option, instead of starting from the floor, we can start in a tabletop position. It'll make that a little bit more challenging. If this one feels way too easy, you can start with a weight on your pelvis that you'll have to hold from side to side. That'll make this exercise a lot more challenging, as you won't have your arms down by your side to keep you from rocking back and forth. So I'd suggest starting with the baseline to see how that feels. Welcome back to our old reliable weighted calf raises with a step. These things are great for building up that calf strength that we're going to be needing to hold that Telemark lunge. So I promise you we're doing them a lot because they're great. Grab a weight that's a little bit heavier than last time, or challenge your balance and don't hold on to the railing like I'll show you here. Just a reminder, we're setting up on that step where the soles of my feet are on, but the backs of my heels are dangling off. I'm going to extend into a full range of motion here. Squeeze up, down for 6 to 8. If we don't like having that weight unilaterally on one side, you can have dumbbells in both sides or hold it in front, again taking away that balance challenge, Really focus on that eccentric down for at least a 6 count, and then that quick concentric up. That'll help build the most strength and put tension on that Achilles tendon in a way that will strengthen it and get it ready for load. If this is feeling too easy, get rid of that hand on the banister, make it a balance challenge. Or if we want it to be more of a balance challenge but aren't ready for that full range of motion, you can do this weighted on the ground, removing that balance challenge, and then we can double load it on each side. Welcome to day 3, starting out with our first exercise. One that we've done before, we're doing the lateral skater jumps with a pause, 3 sets of 10 for each side, or as many as feels challenging enough for you, depending on where your level is at now, but start with 3 sets of 10. I want to really focus on a pause when we're jumping to increase that stabilization, just like we did back in day 1. So when we're jumping from side to side, make sure we're holding, really getting stable through that chain, keeping that core tight and engaged. Starting off to the side of my mat here, I'm going to load up on my outside foot, jump, stabilize. Really want to hold this position here. And back. You might notice that one side is more stable than others, or you might have to fight for that balance challenge like I did there. That's the whole purpose. I want you successfully struggling. You can make this exercise more easy by decreasing the distance that you're jumping in between, and or make it more challenging by increasing that distance that you're jumping. This exercise is really great for building that power and plyometrics part of skiing, which we'll utilize mainly when we're transitioning turns or switching into carving and learning how to push off of our skis. So this is really, really great for that. Let's move on to the next exercise. With our next exercise, I've got rear foot elevated split squats, very similar to our Bulgarian split squats that we've been doing before, all great for that Telemark stance and building the strength in the quad. I want to put your rear foot elevated up here. We're doing 3 sets of 10 each side. So find that box, put up that back foot elevated. It doesn't have to be a super high step or up like it was in your Bulgarian. And we're going to be touching down to where that knee is almost touching the ground and coming back up. With this one, I really want you to think about getting a nice glute stretch here. That's why we're elevating that rear foot, so that we have more ability to get a stretch in that glute and that front leg, and pushing through the midsole and heel of that front foot. Really trying to keep my spine neutral. If we need to make this less challenging, drop those weights or decrease the height of the step. Both should make this exercise a little bit easier. For our third exercise today, we're going to be doing a deadlift with a rotation. I want 3 sets of 10 each side. We're rotating. And our traditional deadlift just goes straight up and down, a little bit something like this, coming down towards the ground. For our rotation, I want us to bias towards one side. Depending on how big your weights are, if you're using barbells or anything a little bit chunkier, you might have a different movement pattern. But in general, similar to a squat, I want that spine to still remain neutral even when we're biasing towards one side. And it's okay if our weights don't come all the way down. When you're using your muscles for this exercise, I want you to be thinking about using your glutes and pushing through your legs away from the earth. Think about really driving through your feet, pushing the earth away from you. The rotation here is really important, so I want you to keep that core engaged. Since we are rotating through a lot of our turns, I want that core to be stable, active, engaged while we're moving through the squat. These exercises that we've been doing with rotation are helping to be able to use our body as a unit, where our legs might be doing something separately or in a different direction than our core, which is why this one is so important. Last exercise of the day is a single arm overhead march. This one's going to be challenging our balance while also challenging our coordination through a dynamic movement of marching. We're going to do 3 sets of 30 seconds per arm. So after one side of 30 seconds, we'll switch the weight to the other arm. That is will be one completed set. Pick a weight that you can find comfortably putting over your head for about 30 seconds. Let's rack that up. Start that clock. We're marching knee up into a 90-degree position, keeping that core stable that whole time. The reason why you're gonna feel a little off balance is because that weight is shifted to one side of your body, forcing that core to activate and control yourself through this movement. Once that 30 seconds is up, switch to the other side, get going. Oh, I almost dropped that. All right, that wraps up the day. Great job. Get back for the next day of exercises. Welcome to day 4. It is our optional day of the week. Today we are going to be starting out with some bear crawls. We're going to do 3 sets of 30 seconds. If you have a small space like me, you can go forwards and backwards, or if you have a long hallway, keep going forwards. Whatever feels comfortable and right in your body. You can always modify this by going a little bit of a shorter distance or a shorter time. We're adding weights onto this one. We did this back in weeks 1 and 2. We're going to be holding weights in our hands as we're moving forward. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm in my starting position here before I've started my timer. As soon as those legs go up, start that timer. We're crawling with alternate leg and foot across. Once I get to my mat, I'm going to go backwards. This is a great full body movement because you're going to have to control your core and your body while you're dynamically moving up and down. Try as much as you can to keep things stable, keep things as one unit. This one's going to be challenging. It's going to strengthen a lot of different parts of your body, increase that shoulder stability, and build that core strength. Our next exercise, we are doing weighted glute bridges. We've done these ones before. Increase that weight if you can. We're doing 3 sets of 12. Starting at laying down, let's grab our weight and get situated. All right, for our starting position here, just like we're setting up for those glute bridges without the weight, but I've got that weight resting on my pelvis. I'm going to be holding that down so it doesn't roll towards my face, driving through those heels, holding for a second or 2, really feeling the squeeze in the hamstrings and glutes, and lowering back down. Let's do 3 sets of 12. Again, if you aren't feeling this burn, please up that weight if we have access to higher weights. This is a really good compound movement to build strength through those glutes and hamstrings. We can also do this exercise with a chair or a bench behind us. Make sure that bench is kind of right below those scapula, and then it'll be more of a tabletop position as we come up. Of course, imagine that my arms aren't helping me there, but that's also a great exercise as well. For our third exercise today, we are doing double leg jumps back and forth. Let's simulate a little moguls, getting our legs up and jumping together. Of course, we're going to be in a lunge telemark stance, but you get the picture. Let's do 3 sets of 15 jumps each side. So a little bit of plyometrics in this. We're double leg jumping, double leg landing. Similarly with the lateral jumps we did earlier this week, find that stability and control in the end of the jump. This exercise is a great plyometric one just to get your heart rate up a little bit and work on practicing controlling that impact, get those joints ready for a little bit of funky stuff on telemark skis. Off to the next exercise. Okay. For our last exercise today, we are doing a supine leg lift with a dumbbell overhead hold. We're doing 3 sets of 12. In my starting position here, I'm going to raise this dumbbell up so it's pointing towards the ceiling. Again, I'm thinking about my pelvis here. I'm rotating it towards sucking in my belly button like I'm zipping up my pants. So my lower back is squashed against that floor. Both of my legs are coming up, lowering down to a point where it feels challenging, coming back up without losing that pelvic tilt. If we start to get down here and our back comes off the ground like that, we lose control. That's not worth the exercise. Keep that core tight. If we need to, we can also modify just doing a single leg. The main thing to keep is that core engagement. We can also come down with a march. Find the appropriate modification where you can keep that form where you're where you can keep the form of your low back not arching and coming off the floor. Another modification is we can just drop that weight, really focus on our leg lifts. That could help bring a little bit of the challenge down. Again, thinking about that lower back squashing against the floor and only going as far down as I can hold. Great job, guys. You have completed our 8-week course to hopefully help you get a little bit stronger, a little bit more prepared for the slopes this season. My first day back was felt a lot stronger than it has in years past, and I'm contributing it definitely to this ski-specific program. These unilateral movements, we've built so much foundational strength, we've built stability in different planes of motion, and we've used a lot of rotational core movements to help us when we're moving down the hill as a singular unit. So great job. Come back to this exercise program throughout the season whenever you feel like you need a little bit of pick-me-up. This is a great way to keep your endurance, stamina, and strength up for when possibly we're going touring in the summer. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe to our channel. We'll be making more ski-specific videos here shortly, and we'll see you on the slopes.